The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod, and we are webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. Very excited to be here. We have a really big week this week, and thrilled, especially today. Wait until you hear the people who are going to be on today. It's a very exciting day here. Want to remind all of you that this entire show is meant to be interactive. We will be with you live for the next 2 hours talking about autism from a 360-degree perspective. All the different things that come into play when someone in the family has autism, whether you're a parent, teacher, practitioner working with an individual on the autism spectrum, or you yourself are someone on the autism spectrum. We want to cover ideas and topics that will help you in your day-to-day trying to get things done, right? Whether it's trying to put food on the table or figure out what to put on the food, what food to put on the table. Yes, it's Monday. I'm not quite awake yet, but thrilled and excited. So I want to go through some of the different ways that you can interact with us, because this whole show is meant to be interactive. So Emily's going to show you some different things on the screen, ways that you can get in touch with us, ways that you can be watching the show. But I want to remind you that there's only one way to watch us live, and that's www.autism-live.com. When you go there, there's a desktop, and it says questions that we're answering right now. Now, sometimes it says rebroadcast in that block, but if it doesn't say that, then that means that we are live in this moment, and you can put your cursor there and type away, hit enter, and it shows up magically right here on my screen. It gives you the opportunity to talk to my guest in real time, to talk to me in real time, to give us suggestions for show topics that you would like to see in the future. We keep a list of all the things that you guys suggest, and we're working on those. I know you've asked a lot of questions about inclusion lately. We're working on a show about that. So keep those ideas coming in, because I know sometimes it takes a little while for us to line up, for the stars to line up, so to speak. But we don't forget, which is a great thing. We're like elephants here. We don't forget. I always like to remind you at the top of the show that I host this program, but do not be mistaken. I am not an expert in autism. I'm not an expert in nutrition. I'm not a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a lawyer, a doctor, a butcher, baker, candlestick maker. I am none of those things, but what I am is an autism parent. I'm an autism mom. My son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5. He is now 9.5 and doing remarkably well. He is the light of my life, and he is in completely mainstreamed 4th grade and doing very well. And that is a joy and a treat for me and for him. And if you'd asked me on the first day that he was diagnosed if that was something that was going to happen, I would have, on the first day, the best answer I could have come up with was, I don't know. And then, of course, along the way, people told me that wasn't going to happen. Thank goodness I did not listen to them. And thank goodness that people came into my life who gave me good information, because it wasn't like, and don't get me wrong, I was looking for information, but I was having a hard time finding it. And people, as I said, came into my life, gave me good information, and we worked tirelessly to follow up on that good information. But we had the best of all possible circumstances in that we lived in a state where we could get access to help and support. And my husband and I talk about it all the time, that there was a a moment fairly early on where we were so overwhelmed, and we looked at each other and we said, well, we're going to do absolutely everything that we can. And part of that journey, as you start, you guys know, as you start onto this journey and you think, okay, I'm going to do everything that I can, you see that you're not alone. There's a huge group of people who all need help and need support. And very early on, we said, well, okay, we're going to do everything that we can for our child. And when the first possible moment, we're going to turn around and do as much as we can for somebody else down the road. So that is my sacred job sitting here, is to try to help you, save you 5 minutes and $5 at the very least, to get you hooked up with information that will help you on your journey. Whatever that journey is, because we are all different and everyone on the spectrum is different, so their needs are going to be different. But hopefully we've got information here that will help you, and if we don't, let me know. We'll find somebody who does. Tell me where you need the information, what area, and we'll hook you up as best we can. That's my job here. Okay, we have so much to talk about today, so I don't want to take too long, but there's one very exciting thing. I know earlier last week, we broke the news that the CDC had said 1 in 50 school children in the United States are on the autism spectrum. Right? Took all of our breath away for a couple of minutes. But there was some other news that came out too that kind of didn't get as much attention. And it really should, because, you know, it's always the yin and the yang, if you will. Stuff that isn't good news and stuff that has the potential to be great news. We've talked before on the show about the Interagency Autism Coordinating Committee, or the IACC. This is the committee that is supposed to be advising. They put together, at least, and they don't meet as often as I would like, but when they're supposed to be advising of what should happen. And they unanimously last Tuesday voted that there should be a federal mandate so that all 50 states have an insurance mandate. This is the thing that we have all been wanting for so long. It's the reason why I wear this ribbon. We have told you on the show that we've had a petition for quite a while that you can sign. You can sign it today. That petition goes off to Kathleen Sebelius, and she is the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And she is the person who has the ability, a whole lot of people did a whole lot of work so that there would be a federal mandate, and she decided to give that power back to the states. Well, now this IACC, which was put together simply to make recommendations, is putting together a letter to her saying that Kathleen Sebelius should make a federal mandate, and she does have the power. So this is very exciting news. They're finishing the letter. We don't know what day it will actually be sent to Kathleen Sebelius, but if you want to put your voice to this message that there needs to be a federal mandate, please go to our website, www.autism-live.com. You'll see the little ribbon at the bottom. You can push the button that's there behind the ribbon and go right to the petition, put your name to be a part of it. It's also on our Facebook page as well. Because remember, with ABA, the possibilities are infinite. We need to make sure that our kids get coverage, and I'm thrilled that unanimous vote. I mean, come on. Maybe she will listen to them and all of us. So add your voice to that. Okay, had to at least go there for a second. All right, now it's time for our jargon of the day. This is the time of day when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym, and we give you an actual definition for it, which is sometimes just more jargon, right? And then we give you a working definition to let you see how this term has an impact in your life. So let's take a look. Today, our phrase is replacement behavior. Okay, sounds kind of like what it is. Got my other mouse here. Let's take a look at our actual definition. A functionally equivalent behavior to take the place of the target behavior. All right, great. What does that mean if we water it down a little bit? Really friendly language. A positive, desirable behavior that fulfills the same purpose as the challenging behavior. So let's say, we've talked about this a lot on the show, that all behaviors have a purpose, right? It's all communication. communication. We don't do any behavior over and over and over again unless it's got some sort of paycheck to it, right? So think about all the things that you personally engage in that you would consider challenging behavior, that are troublesome to you or to someone else in your life. Or if you're a parent, think about the kinds of things that your child might engage in that you would like to change. It could be a repetitive behavior. It could be a violent behavior. Let's say that the child is biting. Well, that biting serves a purpose. There is some reason why the child is not just biting randomly. And I know as a parent that was a hard thing for me to accept in the beginning, because there would just be some behavior that was bizarre, for lack of another word. My son was somebody who flapped his hands, and he has stopped doing that a long time ago. But do you know what? Last night when I was clipping his fingernails for him, and we're in that transition period, he's 9, where I'm having him get ready to start to clip his own nails, and it makes him nervous. So I was clipping one nail, and he was moving around a lot, and I said, you need to stop because I don't want to cut you. And he said, okay, can I do this? I hadn't seen him do that. And he wanted, so holding one hand and he's doing it with the other hand. I hadn't seen him do that in years. And I said, yeah, I guess you could do that. Why do you want to do that? And initially he said, well, because if I do this, it doesn't move this hand, so I can be doing something while you're doing this. And I said, yeah, but why this? You used to do this all the time. Why did you want to do this? And he goes, oh, because it distracts me. If I'm nervous, I have this to pay attention to, and it distracts me. And I was reminded of the fact that on Saturday night I was having an allergic reaction, and I was just so itchy everywhere. I thought it was going to come out of my skin. And I said to my husband, get me my Kindle. I need to do a card game or something to distract me so that I'm not thinking about it. So it was very interesting to me. But in any case, we do behaviors, and our kids do behaviors, even their bizarre behaviors, because it serves some kind of a purpose. We talk about the function of the behavior. So let's go back to the biting. The child is biting for a reason. Our 4 usual suspects: to get access to something. So a child might be biting somebody so that they get access to someone or something. If mom is really distracted and the child comes and bites, and the mom now picks up the child to talk to them and say, don't bite me, I got access to mom, right? Attention, by the way, another component of this, and a child might bite anyone to get attention. Another reason why someone would engage in a challenging behavior is to escape something. So if you're getting ready to stick the child into the bathtub and the child bites, and you have to deal with the bite, they don't go into the bathtub, they escaped it for a couple of seconds. And then again, there is also that it's automatically reinforcing that it feels good. And we know for a lot of our kids that they when they have the language to say, they say that their gums itch, or that they just have this urge to bite something. Especially, there are a lot of biomedical interventions that you can do that help with one thing, but maybe initially cause a spat of biting. I know we went through that with my son once he started the methyl B12 shots, that he just needed to chew on something, right? And sometimes some kids will bite as a result. Well, all of these different functions, we're going to intervene in different ways. But always, when we're going to intervene with a challenging behavior, there needs to be a replacement behavior. The behavior served a function. And how often have you done this, if you're a parent, how often have you, or even if you've done this to yourself, that you say, stop doing that? And how successful is that? Would you say never? I would say never. Never successful. That doesn't work. How many times have I looked at my son when he's been doing something and I say, stop it? Right? And what's the likelihood that, how effective is that ever? And yet we do it. But if we give a replacement behavior for the thing that they're doing that fulfills the same need, right? Technically, when my son he was being all antsy when I was cutting his fingernails, and I said, stop moving, right? Which, he's got to breathe. That's impossible for him to stop moving. But he came up with a replacement behavior. I don't know how desirable it was. We were, in his bedroom, nobody's seeing it. I don't, if that calms him down so that I can cut his fingernails, it's fine for me. But what are some things that we can give a child if they're biting that are a replacement behavior, that it's a positive, desirable behavior that fulfills the same purpose as the reason why they were doing the challenging behavior? So if a child is biting to get access to something, our replacement behavior is we give them functional communication to ask for the access to something. I want mom. I want the ball. If they want attention, a way to ask for attention. If they want to escape, a way to ask for a break. And if it's automatically reinforcing because their gums are itchy or they feel the need to bite, then we give them something appropriate to bite on for that period of time instead of biting themselves or biting their shirt or biting another kid or biting a parent. We always want a replacement behavior. And if you think about this, this applies to us as well. If there's a behavior that you're engaged in, like smoking, it fulfills a need. There is a function to you smoking. So you have to find something that, and if you don't, you will automatically. How many people have quit smoking and then they eat instead because there's that oral fixation and they end up gaining weight? Well, if they found an appropriate, a positive, desirable behavior, instead of eating something. I know a lot of people that when they stop smoking, brush their teeth. Every time that they want to have a cigarette, they go and brush their teeth. Well, that's a positive, desirable behavior. And for some people, not in all cases, but for some people that fulfills the same requirement that the smoking did. So always when we talk about challenging behavior, there needs to be a replacement behavior. Whenever you're someplace now and asking yourself to not do something, or you're asking another person in your life to not do something, turn it around to a positive. Give them something else to do instead. It needs to be something that fulfills, in order to be a replacement behavior, it has to fulfill the same requirement. We'll talk later on in the either today or in the rest of this week with a competing behavior, something that you can't do both things at the same time. All right. But that is our jargon for the day. We always have a question of the day for you. And our question today also deals with challenging behavior. What kinds of challenging behavior does your child engage in? We were just talking about, biting, but what is it that your child or the person in your life or you yourself, what is the challenging behavior that you would most like to target and change right now? And again, sky's the limit here. And I really do think that it's advantageous to think about it. I know I have child written here, but for all of us, is there a challenging behavior you're engaging in? Is there one that your partner is engaging in? Somebody at work? Because these principles of ABA and giving a replacement behavior work in all circumstances, not just with people on the autism spectrum. So we're hopefully going to have a chance a little bit later on to check on Facebook to see what you guys wrote in. And I'm trying to think right now in terms of challenging behavior. It's a little bit challenging that my son gets fixated on one topic and won't stop himself. Like if we ask him and prompt him and say, okay, enough with the talking about Minecraft. Enough. I've had it. Right? Then we try to do it really nicely. Not always. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes I go, I can't hear any more about Minecraft. Not the best thing. But if there was a way, I would really like for him to be able to monitor that himself without having to be prompt. So I would guess that that's the thing that we're most working on right now. And it, in the realm of challenging behavior, how lucky am I? Because, when we started, it was he was biting me, hitting his head against the floor, you name it, throwing things, trying to get out of his car seat while the car was going. Yes, got a ticket once because I was out of my harness trying to get him back in his harness and pull over at the same time. Yes, all that good stuff. But we're not there anymore. And I'm someone who can attest to the fact that these principles work. Give a replacement behavior. All right. So that's our question. We also always have a topic of the day, a topic of the week, if you will. And if you couldn't have guessed already, our topic this week, all week long, is challenging behaviors. So this is an ideal time. We have some experts lined up for you this week. I really am excited about this week. If there is a behavior that someone in your life is engaging in that you would really like to see the dial move, as I said, it could be yourself as well, this is the best week to write in. We're going to have a bunch of experts to talk about this. Some of the things we're going to be talking about today, we have our stress tip, of course, because it's Monday. We have the fabulous Monica Holloway, who's with us, the author of Cowboy and Wills, and she's going to be here with us talking in just a few minutes. And a little bit later in the next hour, we have Alex Plank with us. And we've had Alex on before. He is the creator of Wrong Planet, and he's got a new video out about bullying that is just amazing and was life-changing for me and how I'm dealing with those kinds of issues with my son. I sat down and watched it with him just the other day, and I feel like it gave him a whole new tool chest of ways that he can combat bullying that are appropriate for the age that he is at now. So really excited to have Alex here, and really excited to have Monica here. Monica is so much fun, and she, of course, has a teenager on the spectrum. So I'm very excited to talk to her about some of the things going on in her life and some of the events that she's got coming up in April, Autism Awareness Month. So all of that and more, we're going to take a break and bring Monica into the studio. If you want to ask questions, now is a great time to do it on our live feature, www.autism-live.com. We'll be right back. Stick with us. Currently, in the United States, 1 in 88 children is affected by autism. 1 in 88 means something different when your child is the one. Recovery is possible. Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, host of Autism Live, an online show about autism broadcast by CARD, the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I'm also the mother of a child with autism. My beautiful son, Jem. You know our old joke, guess what?
Chicken butt.
Chicken butt. So we're going to take the chickens. But things weren't always so easy. I remember when Jem was first diagnosed with autism. I used to lay awake at night in bed and pray for someone or something that could help us to get our child back. My prayers were answered by Dr. Doreen Grandpichet and the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. CARD treats autism and other related disorders using the principles of ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, which is the only scientifically proven effective treatment for autism. It is also recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the U.S. Surgeon General. About a year after we started treatment with CARD, we were able to see tremendous improvement, and we got our child back.
What grade are you in?
Second.
You are a smart cookie, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like school?
Yeah.
Do you have any good friends?
Yeah, Oscar.
Oscar is your best friend?
Yeah.
And my child is just one of thousands to benefit from CARD ABA therapy. Across the nation and around the world, children are making amazing progress and being given the keys to unlock their full potential.
We are extremely grateful for the amazing job CARD has done in helping our daughter. Our daughter today, just in 4 months, I think is a totally different child than when she started with CARD. I kind of see it as, it seems like her brain in a way was asleep, and now that we've gotten so many services, we've seen her wake up.
Did you have some glasses?
Recovery is possible if you take the right steps, if you're willing to put in all the hard work. And 7.5 years, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's worth every little bit, and CARD's been there with us every step of the way.
I have 2 children with autism. I can't imagine a day without CARD or the therapists. They've been so instrumental in helping us with our kids and shaping their lives and helping us help them.
Thank you, Christina Big Alex.
Thank you, Jackie and Mariana.
We've tried other things before ABA, but the most beneficial thing has been ABA services, and I'd be the first person to tell any newly diagnosed family that you have to contact an ABA provider, and if you're lucky enough to have CARD, you're very blessed.
Recovery from autism is absolutely a possibility. We've been recovering children for over 20 years. It's just a matter of identifying the child's medical needs, understanding the child's sensory issues, and then teaching the child all of the skills they need in order to function normally.
We know there's hope for autism. Autism is treatable, and recovery from autism is possible. Welcome back to Autism Live. So thrilled that we have in the studio with us now Monica Holloway. I'm just grinning like an idiot because you're so much fun when you come in.
I love to come here.
Well, we love it when you're here. And we should remind everybody that Monica is a beautiful, beautiful writer. And you may know her from the book Cowboy and Wills, but an amazing autism mom and an advocate. And you do a lot of speaking engagements. And you've got a lot of stuff coming up that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But you are an awesome autism mom. You have a son who is now a teenager. I don't know where the time goes.
And it went up and way up. He's 6'3", so almost 6'3" now.
Is that weird to have to look up at your baby?
It's unbelievable.
Is it?
It's unbelievable.
How long has he been taller than you?
About 7 months, but he grew 7.5 inches in 1 year. His arms and legs hurt. He had really intense growing pains. But his dad is 6'4", and I'm 5'9", so we're giant people.
You're not circus giant.
We're circus giant.
But that's awesome. 7 months.
Yeah, 7 months.
Okay,
and
I was thinking
it was hard on him.
Yeah, I would bet, because it's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, even just for anybody, it's hard to be present in your body when you're, changing. I remember junior high, and I had, buck teeth, and my last name was Buckley, so it was Monica Bucktooth Buckley.
Oh, wow.
People were sweet and kind to me, actually, and I had headgear, which nobody needs. Wow. But I remember just not being in my body for many years, and I think, it's hard when you grow as fast as he has. Yeah. So we're to stay in his body and to be aware, like, this whole thing is me, and I embrace it, and I know what's going on with every part of me. It's just new. So actually, Wills has decided, this is kind of exciting, and that I've been doing acupuncture. And I've been doing it for some anxiety issues, and also I wanted to lose some weight. We talked about that earlier, and I did drop about 20 pounds.
You look great.
Well, thanks.
I found it, by the way. The 20 you lost, I found.
Well, you can.
I have it.
Share it. How about that?
I'm storing it for you.
All right.
I'm also retaining water for Egypt, in case you were wondering. So,
I'll talk to you next week. I'll take that on for you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're starting a menopause show, which will be on.
Right. That's it.
We'll host it.
Okay, but I digress.
No, that's fine.
So you're doing acupuncture,
and we've been talking to Wills about how it's helped me. Acupuncture and meditation has sort of helped me accept my body and who I am, and I'm not there yet, but it has been amazing in settling me down. And so I was very shocked to hear it when I said to Wills, would you like to come with me and try acupuncture, thinking that he would never want to do acupuncture, and he said yes. So he has an appointment next Tuesday to start having, if he likes it and if it's okay, to have acupuncture and doing some meditation.
Wow.
With this specialist.
Does he know that it's the needles?
Yes, he's going to watch me first.
Okay.
And then he's going to watch me, and then he's going to have a couple of days to sort of digest it.
Right.
And then then his dad is actually going to go in with him. He wants his dad. His dad's much calmer than I am on the outside. And so Michael's going to go in with him.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I know.
And
so
that he made that choice for himself.
Yeah, and I think it'll help him sort of do what, like, I know I didn't. I imagine you didn't, what we didn't have in junior high, which is like connect your mind and your body together, and see if we can help him out a little bit with that.
Yeah. Oh, my mother's idea of connecting the mind and the body was, let's go get an ice cream cone. You're feeling funny? Let's go get an ice cream cone. That was everything.
Mine was stealing sweaters from my sister's closet and not telling anyone. Yeah.
All right. Well, the coping mechanism.
So I'm going to be covering up all the body with sweaters.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, and you had mentioned before that this is a period of downtime for you because it's spring break.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, because you're such a wonderful resource for the teenage years, and I know that that's coming up, and a lot of people are out there on spring break and they've got teens. What kind of things do you have lined up for spring break? Did you have a thought ahead of time? Are you one of those organized moms?
No, I'm not an organized mom.
Okay.
But my
we can continue being friends.
Okay, good. No, I'm not. But my son is incredibly organized.
Okay.
So Wills was all prepared for spring break, and part of it, he's off for 2 weeks, which I've never heard of before.
Is that because of furlough things and
Yes.
budget things?
It's budget things, but also it's also that they do sort of the teacher conferences for 1 week, so that gives them an extra week off.
I see.
I love that. I mean, a lot of the parents were upset for having all that, but what happened is, and what what's great about spring break at our house is that my son and my husband, they go to see baseball training every spring. So they're in Arizona watching the Angels and the Dodgers and the Cubs. And 2 years ago, they went to Florida to see the Mets train. And they're big, sad Mets fans. They don't get a lot of satisfaction, but they're big Mets fans. My husband grew up in New Jersey. And Will's, as we mentioned on the show before, Will's is a big baseball player. And so he and my husband, when they were in Florida, were having a catch outside the, I did a bat, even though I said catch, outside the hotel. And is it, I'm going to get this wrong, R.A. Dickey, R.J.R. Okay,
I'm hopelessly baseball illiterate.
I hope when Will sees this,
you'll hear about it afterwards.
But anyway, one of his favorite players, they were all getting off the bus, and this player came and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" and joined in on the game of catch with Wills, and so they R.A. Dickey.
R.A. Dickey. Emily, I didn't come up with it. Emily told me in my earpiece.
How did I know Emily would know?
Emily would know. We have to give credit where credit is due. Right. It wasn't like I spontaneously got smart about baseball.
So they get back on Wednesday, and then Will still had a week and a half, which I thought we were going to spend with like him seeing friends and socializing. And I got a phone call yesterday that he's decided that my husband has to work, so that it'll be Will's, myself, and the two gigantic golden retrievers of ours. He wants to go to Carmel and spend the rest of the week and a half there.
How nice.
It's nice, except I did lose weight, which doesn't help me with the golden retrievers. I'm like olive oil being dragged around Carmel. Man. So it'll be interesting. But he... So I don't know if we can get a hotel this late or if it's going to be too expensive. I mean, we're all working on our budgets and saying to Wills, you can't just go to Carmel on a whim. But so I'll be in the Motel 6 outside of Carmel.
If anybody's looking for me,
with a bunch of dog hair.
Yes, exactly. And I'm just curious though, was he somebody who always knew what he wanted to do? Like if you said, what do you want to do today? Could he tell you?
Always.
Wow.
Even as a little boy. And he was amazing because he loved to take rides when he was little. And it's kind of interesting because I have a family actually that I'm not in touch with. And part of that family, we always loved to take rides together. But he didn't know that. But he sort of was born that way, and he would want to put the dog in the car and go for a ride, which meant that we were finding all of these hikes and streams and rivers. And this is when he was 2.5. Wow. And I got him this book called A Field and a Foot in Los Angeles. Did we talk about this already? When he was 3.5. And I read it to him, and we decided that one year we would do every hike in that book. And we did. And so we took Post-its and wrote whether we liked the hike, whether it was too long, whether it was just enough. And we found places in L.A. County you can't imagine, the most beautiful places out of the way where no one is. And that started him wanting then to look out into the country, and then he was doing train trips on Amtrak with his dad. So he's very busy. He likes to see the country. He likes that.
Well, I have to say, too, that when I read Cowboy and Wills, which I loved, I still can't get over it. I actually have my copy here that I need to have you sign. But one of the things that I was struck by it was the relationship that you have with him, and that you were always the mom, but that you had such a wonderful relationship that you took him places and you did things. And I was going through a phase where we were starting to isolate, and it was very inspirational to me. And I'm constantly saying to other autism parents, don't give up the rest of your life and stay home because you think everybody else is going to be more comfortable and you're going to be more comfortable. Work it out and take your kids out into the world. We need it. The world needs to see your children. And your relationship with your child gets that much better. I don't think I'm anywhere near as good at it as you appear to be, but it gives me someplace to go.
I do have a secret. It's not about me at all. It wasn't me at all. Will's therapist would not let me stay home. I wanted to isolate so badly. He was so, as you know, probably from your own experience, Wills was so much more comfortable at home. And then we went in the car and went on these hikes and things. It was just Wills and myself and the dog. So that was fine with him. But in terms of taking him, out where people are, taking him to restaurants, taking him to preschool, which was like a total nightmare. Literally, his therapist would be on the phone with me, talking me through it. And I mean, I sort of laugh now because we just went through a very similar thing where I'm trying to change Wills's medication. He's on. We keep him on a very, very low dose, and we're lucky that we can. And I've been putting it off, and I didn't want to think about it. And he's fine on it, but it's really not doing anything for him anymore. So I need to either get him off of it, or he's got some anxiety issues, and so I haven't called a new doctor, which I need to do. And so his therapist is on the phone with me now almost every day. Just wondering, have you called this doctor yet? I know you're having trouble thinking about the medicine. Could you call this doctor? And that's how she was about getting him out into the world. And I would be crying in the car driving with him to go to especially like something at school where there'd be a lot of parents and a lot of kids, and he would be hanging on me like a sweater and crying, and everybody else would be in the circle, and people would be running video cameras, and I would be the one sitting in the circle with my son with his arms wrapped around my head. I could see nothing, screaming.
Oh, this is hard.
So I know it didn't come naturally to me. Don't think if it doesn't come naturally to you, you're more human, and that's, I think, more the case. I had to really. I was fortunate to have his therapist, and we had good insurance, and we were able to have her on board as much as we
awesome
needed
to have that support.
Thank heavens.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to be back more with Monica after this. As I cough, excuse me.
Hi everyone, welcome back. For the month of March, we're going to be making a rain stick. And what's really cool about this project is that the steps are pretty simple, so your kids are going to be able to practice a lot of their fine motor skills when making it. Another bonus is that once the rain stick is completed, you guys can use it for a bunch of different programs under cognition and executive functions. Things that deals with, seeing versus hearing, or using it also for auditory memory. But we'll get to that later. First, we gotta make the rain stick. So, the materials you'll be needing are a paper towel roll, tape, paper, aluminum foil, rice, and any kind of materials you want to use to decorate your rain stick with. Alright, let's get to it. So the first thing you want to do is get a piece of tin foil that's about double the length as your paper towel roll. So I got this, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it up, like so, and I'm going to wrap my paper towel roll with it. Okay, and don't worry if it's too messy, okay? This is just to give us a basic shape. Now once I've got this, I'm going to make it a little bit tighter, and I'm going to roll it and stick it inside of my paper towel roll. I want to make sure that it goes all the way through the paper towel roll. And what this does, it acts like a buffer so the rice will go down slowly through the tube. And see how that's nice and in there? Okay, now that I have that, I'm going to take a piece of paper and cover one side. And I'm going to take a piece of tape and secure it over the bottom. All right, now that I've got this on, I'm gonna take my rice and pour it in. All right, now that I got the rice in there, I'm gonna seal the other side. Now that this is constructed, don't forget to use your imagination to decorate this any way that you want. And here's my finished rain stick. Don't forget you can decorate yours however you see fit. I decided to use tape and pipe cleaners, but you could always paint it, add sparkles, just whatever you feel like doing. Now that this is done, let's take a listen to it. What does that sound like to you? I think it sounds like rain too. What does rain look like? Ah, that is what rain looks like. You can ask them a whole bunch of different questions using this after it's already been made. Well, until next time, craft on. Bye, guys.
Can you see me? Can you see me flying by your side?
Welcome back to Autism Live. Our very special guest this morning is Monica Holloway, author of Cowboy and Wills. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we were talking before about some of the things that your son is doing for spring break, but I wanted to know what you thought of the new CDC numbers that came out saying 1 in 50 school-age children are on the spectrum in the United States.
My son and I took it differently.
Really?
Yes.
Do tell.
It's really interesting. I asked Wills if he'd heard that this had come out with the CDC and these were the new numbers, and he said I didn't know the old numbers.
Oh, interesting.
And we had talked about the 1 in 88 or
right.
1 in 80, yeah. 88. And I said, well, it's come out that it's 1 in every 50 children, 1 in every 50 children. Has autism, and he was really thrilled.
Really?
He was thrilled. He said, a lot of us have autism. Many of us have autism. I feel so much better that more kids have autism like me.
Wow.
And of course that would be comforting to a 15-year-old boy, to me, to any of us.
Incredibly honest.
Yes.
There's more people like me. I'm not alone.
And he doesn't, he gets frustrated with his autism, but I gotta say, like lately, particularly when he's doing much better these days, and he seems to be less frustrated with the autism and more frustrated with just what we all go through in life. Right. And I don't think that Will's at this particular point. He used to say, I hate autism and autism drives me crazy. I don't think that he feels like it's such a negative, bad thing for him right now. So I don't think when he thinks of 1 in 50, he just thinks, that makes sense to me. I have it.
Right.
He has it. She has it. I think that makes him feel much more comforted, and it's not something that he's going at it alone. For me, I was in absolute shock as these numbers just get bigger and bigger and bigger. I've got to wonder what's going on. And I'm 50 years old, so I can remember back. People say, don't you remember in high school or elementary school there were kids that maybe were on the spectrum, and maybe, but I don't think a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot. I don't know because I'm not a doctor. I was just a kid. But this seems new to me.
Yeah.
Really, really new to me. And I wonder why.
Frightening. I'm frightened.
I am so frightened. I don't understand what's going on. And the research, we've got to make more money for research. That's going to be that's something that I'm going to have to work on. And it's just, these numbers are too large.
Yeah, it's too large. It's very frightening, and it's been interesting to me and everybody that I've talked to, and I keep asking everyone, so what was your take on it? Because everybody's take has been different, and I love that your take is we need more dollars for research because we absolutely do. That's absolutely true. And then when I spoke to Dr. Jonathan Tarbox on Friday, he was saying clearly we need to get more people in the schools trained.
Yes.
If 1 in 50. And then you go, well, yes. And you go, yes, that too. And you see all these things. And each person I've talked to has said a different part of the puzzle, all these things that we have to do.
Right.
And I'm left with, we have a lot of work to do.
I also feel like if people think like autism is like, it's not exactly like having the flu, but if I know... Well, I know autism, but let's say that somebody who hasn't heard of autism or whatever, that person needs to know autism like we all know, the measles. Like we know you have brown hair or black hair or brown hair, and I've got gray hair, but I have blonde hair.
I was going to say mine is gray. I have Revlon.
I have Revlon as well, something along those lines. So, but this idea that we live with it like we live with whatever we live with, that it's not a mysterious thing. Exactly. That it's not a shocking thing, that it's becoming an everyday thing. And it's scary, but it's time for the shift. It's past time.
It really is. Absolutely. And I also, because I know you have things that you have to do today, I want to talk about I saw your calendar of events for April and all the different speaking things that you're doing. What would you like to share with us? Because you'll be back. You're going to be back on the 8th when I shave my head, and then we've got you again in April. But we won't see you for 2 weeks. What kinds of things do you have coming up that people can come and see you at?
Right. Well, the Special Needs Network, which I love, and I'm seeing Ariva Martin, who's the CEO of that organization tonight. Actually, they're doing their Tools for Transformation on April 13th, and I always go to that. It's just an amazing day where parents can come and educators can come. And they give they have a lot of interesting and amazing speakers. I'll be the host for the day. I don't know if you still add S to the end of women's things, but I'm a host, like actor and actress. And it's really exciting because then it's packed for one thing, and it gets everybody so excited for the summer and for their JPAC camp that's coming up. And then I'm going to New York, and I'm doing a conference for it's called the Young Youth Conference, and I'm going to be doing a workshop there and speaking to educators and parents in the city, which will be great. And we've got the Autism Speaks Walk coming up, which is really exciting, and I'll be working in the Grand Club this year and jumping in on a team that's coming up for Frostig, where Wills used to go to school. And we just have so many things coming up. I've got a reading coming up on the 3rd from Cowboy and Wills, and it's a time. That's what's wonderful about April, and I think April should be all year round, but I think it's a time when people really stop, and I've always had people donate to my team and be very everybody turns their light on blue for World Autism Day, and then they send it to me on Facebook or put it on my Facebook page, and it's so exciting. We feel so embraced. I feel embraced all the time. I must say that since my book came out, I was much more, I wasn't quiet about it, but I was less vocal, and I didn't have a platform to go out with until the book came out. Right. And so I feel like since that book came out, it's something that I want to tell everybody. The more you reach out and talk about it, the more I'm going to know you. You're going to know me as a parent. I'm going to know you as a parent, as a person, and we're just going to get more support. So I got to say, I feel very supported. But I got to say, the people that are in government, I mean, we just have to get everybody involved in autism. There's just not enough.
Yeah, I was saying that on Thursday, that when I heard the 1 in 50, I said, what would Dr. Seuss do? You know, that's sometimes what that's how my mind works sometimes. What would Dr. Seuss say about this? And the thing about, you know, if someone like you doesn't care a whole awful lot, then nothing's going to change. It's not. Then we need to look at every politician, look them in the eye, say autism, and say that to them, because I don't think that they completely get that we're counting on them. Right. And that
some of them do. Some of them
that's
don't.
true. There are some that are amazingly
Well, that's one thing that Areva Martin does do. Is she really works on our local politicians. You know, I know she and Wendy Gruhl are working together, who's running for mayor here in Los Angeles, and that's critical. Critical.
Absolutely. We love Areva. We've had Areva on the show many times, and she's
strong. She's a very big leader for me and teaches me a lot about getting involved.
Absolutely amazing. And she does the as part of the Tools for Transformation, she does the legislative breakfast, which is an amazing thing, an opportunity to talk to politicians. I have to say, I've never made it to that.
Okay, I will personally invite you.
You know, it's during the show, though.
Oh, well, maybe we'll start here, and then we'll have our breakfast here, and we'll go in there and take a peek.
Yeah, it's always, and when I wasn't doing the show, it was always something, because my radio show used to be on Friday mornings, because it's always on a Friday morning. So from the time that I knew about it, I could never go to it, but I hear amazing things about it.
It's an amazing day. And then it ends with this amazing cocktail party. So it starts out very serious and everybody talking about the issues, and then most everyone there has a voice, which is great. And then in the nighttime, everybody relaxes and you're just sort of hanging out as people, and that's really important piece of it as well. So.
Yeah, I'm not so good at that.
You're not?
I'm not good at that.
You would be great.
No, I'm not at all good at that. We went on Saturday to the Art of Autism at Mr. Music Head. They were doing an event, and it was hanging out with people. And I thought that I like couldn't get it together to be a person with my family to go with my son to this art event. And it was so lovely that while we were there, Deborah Husseini, who is the Art of Autism, she's been on the show too, and she thanked us up and down for being there. And she, you know, hugged me and she said, "Oh, it's so great that you made it here, and you still have a relatively little one." And I like grabbed her and hugged her, and I was like, "Thank you for telling me." And she goes, "Oh yeah, it's so much easier for those who have older kids." But she said, "No, if my child had been 9, it would have been really hard for me to get out and do something like this."
Yeah.
And I just was so thrilled, because I thought, what's wrong with me that I'm not good at this?
Well,
why can't I do this?
There's nothing wrong with you, and I go through that all the time. And
do you?
You know, my husband's laughing right now because he's like, I'm going, really? It seems like it would be easy for you, and you might think that of me, but it's not.
Right.
Sometimes it's really not.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not Will's at all. Or it has nothing to do with autism.
I think it was
has
more me.
to do with me.
Yeah.
Right.
And being worried about him. I haven't gotten to the point where I've allowed him to be, there, and my entire focus is not on him. Does that come a little bit later?
That comes a little bit later, and that is a really big deal. That's a hard thing. I remember when I very first started to go, like, especially for my author things with my first book, actually, with Simon & Schuster, and that's when they had me going to different places and speaking and reading, and Will's wasn't with me. And it's the first time I would travel, and he was not with me. But he was on my mind constantly, and I was so afraid that if I didn't think of him every second, something would happen. Yeah. And then I realized he's fine, and in fact, this is what his therapist had been telling me all along. Let him go a little bit.
Yeah.
Let him go a little bit. And so I think I was forced, because of my first book tour, to separate from him a little bit. And so that was 2007. And it was hard, but I think, and even now, now he's great. I think I might have mentioned this last week, but he was late getting to his ranchers club where he goes and rides horses at the children's ranch in Las Feliz, and he'd had a baseball game, and he had committed to being at the ranch at 1, and we got into terrible traffic on the 5, and he got there at 1:10. And so when we were driving up, I said, Will, do you want me to come in and talk to Jackie, who runs the ranch, and explain? And he said, Mommy, it's my battle.
Just so lovely.
And it was great. It was great. And a reminder, he's 15.
Yeah.
And probably what I should have said was, Wills, are you thinking about what you're going to say to Jackie when you get there? And that would have been much more helpful than, Mommy will take care of it, when she doesn't want me to take care of it.
But, I always go back to this idea that they don't come with an instruction manual, and the instruction manual doesn't update as they grow.
It's true.
I have a friend who has a son who's not on the autism spectrum, but he was 19 years old and did not know how to pack his own suitcase. And they would go on all these trips. They travel a lot. And she said, well, I need to go home and pack my son's suitcase. And it was a big deal. And everybody said, well, why isn't he packing his own? And she said, was there a day that I missed the note that said on this day when he was 14 that I was supposed to start? Did I miss that memo? And I think about that all the time. When am I missing memos about how do we start this? So that he doesn't go off to college and not know how to do the laundry, or pack the suitcase or whatever.
And I'm finding that it's hard for every parent, not just a parent of a child with autism. And I find myself saying, wow, you know what? Wills needs to really be doing his own laundry, for instance. And that's every parent that's wondering, when do I do this? And how do I do this? And
what day do I start?
What day do I start?
We need to have that app. Where is that app? Oh, he's 12 years old in 3 days, which means today we show him how to put laundry soap into the washer.
Exactly.
Wouldn't that be a great app? All right, we've come up with an idea. Right. So a really big April for you, and we'll look forward to having you back again in April. And then you're going to be here on the 8th when we shave my head. I'm very excited about you being here for that.
I'm so amazed by that.
Because you always bring the fun with you. And
I'm going to bring the fun and I don't know. I was going to say the clippers, I guess.
The clippers are already
here. I started to say the mousse, which of course you won't ever need again for a long time.
Well, no, because my hair grows so fast. By the end of the week, I'll have fuzz. So
if I shaved my head, it would be bald a year from now. I have a feeling. I don't know, but I'm thinking.
Oh, I have to get my hair cut all the time. It's just, the mop. But yeah, so you'll be here on that morning, April 8th, and we'll look forward to having everybody here. And we're asking everybody, I'm going to put you on the spot here, we're asking everybody to do something for somebody else, to take compassion in action. This is my thing that I'm going to do for this dad who has cancer, to show compassion towards him, but we're asking everybody to. So I want to ask you and your family to think about what you might want to do, because we'd love to, feature what you guys decide to do. And it could be something you do or something that you and Wills and Michael all do together. So be thinking about that.
I have a good idea, but I'll let Wills help me out with that.
Okay.
Yes, that's great.
And it's one of those things, I sort of felt bad. I'm like, no, I'm going to put you on the spot and make you do something nice for somebody. But I get the sense that you're somebody who would anyway.
Well, I want to, most definitely. I think, the one thing that I don't know if you know Brene Brown. I don't know her, but I've been watching. A friend of mine just on Friday night gave me this clip and said, watch Brene Brown on Oprah about daring greatly and about being of service to other people. And I have to say, I do feel like I try to give to other people, but I could sure do it a lot more. And after watching that segment on Oprah, and I was so glad my friend Eileen gave me that segment, it made me realize, you know what, to actively think of being of service, not just to say, oh, I'm going to help this person or give to this charity or go in and give of my time, but to make it really something that's really active, both for myself and for Wills and my husband. So I applaud you, and I think that's great. Now, you could put me on the spot with that all the time because I can always do better.
Well, I think it's something that we all could. I mean,
for sure. For sure.
And certainly I'm shaving my head, but I'm thinking about all these other things that I can do as well because, of course, I want to do stuff for autism during that month.
Right.
And always. I love people who say, well, we love Autism Awareness Month. We live it every day. Right?
Exactly. We had, I don't know how much time we have, but okay, just a quick little thing.
Sure.
Because my son is older and we haven't, sometimes I don't think about exactly autism every day. He's just who he is. And my husband and I were sitting in the living room, and Wills came out, and he had gotten me a bathrobe for my birthday. And he had it on, and it was split from here to here. He's a really big kid.
Oh, wow.
And so here's my brand new bathrobe, totally split, and it's tied. Wow. And I said, so Wills, I said, is that my bathrobe? And he goes, yes, it said one size only. One size fits all. Sorry, one size fits all. And I said, oh. I said, did you notice that it has a split back here? And he looked and looked. He goes, wow, it did split. He goes, so that tag is wrong. And he went into his room. And I said to my husband, hello, autism. Like this concrete, one size fits all, it will fit me.
Right.
And even if he held it up, he would know. Wow. I mean, you would think he would know that it wouldn't fit him. But no, if it one size fits all, he put it on, he split the arms, and he still didn't understand what's going on. And so those things come up.
Yes.
And I'm grateful for those moments when...
Yeah. Because, his heart. Correct me if I'm wrong, but because sometimes we have some of that too. But it reminds me in that moment how far we've come.
Oh yes,
that there's still a ways to go, but how far we've come.
And there's an honesty in that. I know that being so concrete that you sort of miss a meaning. I mean, that's harmless. The robe is harmless, but it does make you worry a little bit. But it also there's something so innocent and vulnerable about that reaction.
Yeah,
it's very touching to me. Very sweet.
That honesty that you were saying, the innocence. Yeah, absolutely.
But it also worries you because you want to make sure if he's on a bus and somebody says something concrete and he's by himself that he'll get it.
Absolutely. More work to be done on all arenas.
Always.
All right. Well, we'll charge the hormones back up and get to work. I thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
And we'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
I just want to touch your curls.
Go for it.
Oh my goodness.
And you'll be here when we shave it off.
I'll be here.
It will grow back. All right. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with our stress tip, and don't forget that Alex Plank will be joining us in the next hour. So stick with us. Thank you so much.
You have the most gorgeous hair.
In the United States, 1 in 88 children is affected by autism. 1 in 88 means something different when your child is the one. Recovery is possible. Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, host of Autism Live, an online show about autism broadcast by CARD, the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I'm also the mother of a child with autism. My beautiful son, Jem. You know our old joke? Guess what?
Chicken butt.
Chicken butt. So we're going to take the chickens. But things weren't always so easy. I remember when Jem was first diagnosed with autism. I used to lay awake at night in bed and pray for someone or something that could help us to get our child back. My prayers were answered by Dr. Doreen Granpichet and the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. CARD treats autism and other related disorders using the principles of ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, which is the only scientifically proven effective treatment for autism. It is also recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the U.S. Surgeon General. About a year after we started treatment with CARD, we were able to see tremendous improvement, and we got our child back.
What grade are you in?
Second.
You are a smart cookie, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like school?
Yeah.
Do you have any good friends?
Yeah, Oscar.
Oscar is your best friend?
Yeah.
And my child is just one of thousands to benefit from CARD ABA therapy. Across the nation and around the world, children are making amazing progress and being given the keys to unlock their full potential.
We are extremely grateful for the amazing job CARD has done in helping our daughter. Our daughter today, just in 4 months, I think is a totally different child than when she started with CARD. I kind of see it as, it seems like her brain in a way was asleep, and now that we've gotten so many services, we've seen her wake up.
Did you have some guesses?
Recovery is possible if you take the right steps, if you're willing to put in all the hard work. And 7.5 years, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's worth every little bit, and CARD's been there with us every step of the way.
I have 2 children with autism. I can't imagine a day without CARD or the therapists. They've been so instrumental in helping us with our kids and shaping their lives and helping us help them.
Thank you, Christina Big Alex.
Thank you, Jackie and Mariana.
We've tried other things before ABA, but the most beneficial thing has been ABA services, and I'd be the first person to tell any newly diagnosed family that you have to contact an ABA provider, and if you're lucky enough to have CARD, you're very blessed.
Recovery from autism is absolutely a possibility. We've been recovering children for over 20 years. It's just a matter of identifying the child's medical needs, understanding the child's sensory issues, and then teaching the child all of the skills they need in order to function normally.
We know there's hope for autism. Autism is treatable, and recovery from autism is possible. Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod, and so thrilled to be here. Very exciting show. Want to talk a little bit about stress before we show you the A word, and then we're going to have Alex Plank joining us. So, Mondays, we talk about stress, and the reason why we do that is because the weekend is supposed to be the relaxing time, isn't always. And, excuse me, we start back on Monday, and Monday is often the most stressful day of the week. Did you know that statistically people are more likely to have heart attacks on Mondays? It's true. So we like to talk about it on Mondays, and this is for all of us, whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher practitioner, whether you are an individual who's on the spectrum themselves, we all have stress. And often, not all the time, but often when autism is a part of the equation, there is room for the stress to be higher. So it is something that we have to be cognizant of and constantly be trying to manage the stress level. So I wanted to take a minute today to talk about understanding what the triggers are, what the releases are, and how we take out an insurance policy on stress. So if you're looking at it for yourself and thinking to yourself, okay, when am I most likely to be stressed? When in the past have I been stressed? When do I experience stress at the most? Sometimes we can feel stressed, but we're so happy with what we're doing that it is very manageable, right? So when is the unmanageable stress happening? Under what circumstances? Is it when we're not feeling prepared? Is it when there's too much sensory going on? When are we the most stressed? And if we can track that, then we can start to manage it. Just like we would do with behaviors, we look at, okay, what is the antecedent that brings on the stress? How do we behave when we're stressful? And what's the consequence of it? What ends up happening? Do we get to the point where the stress turns into a panic attack, or is there a way that we actually calm ourselves down? Once we start to look at that equation and notice patterns, we can manipulate things. So if we say to ourselves, okay, well, I'm really stressed on Thursdays whenever I have this meeting, and what is it about this meeting that stresses me out? I never feel completely prepared because on Wednesday I have this happen and I never get enough stuff together for Thursday. Then we can back it up and say, all right, maybe I prepare for this Thursday meeting on Sunday. And we see how that works. We also look at the consequences. How do I react when I'm stressed out? What are the things in the past that I've been able to do that have helped to release the stress? Is it that if I take a moment and I breathe? Is it if, I write a note to myself and say, I'm just feeling stressed and nothing bad is happening? What are the things that help me? We all have things that will trigger stress, and we should all have a tool belt of things that we can do to release stress. Then, once we start to know this for ourselves, we can start to take out insurance policies. Okay, so if I know that I'm more stressed if I haven't gotten sleep and I haven't eaten right and I haven't prepared, then I can take out an insurance policy and make sure that I get enough rest. I can take out an insurance policy, and if I know that I've got a really stressful week coming up, I can pack all of my lunches or pre-cook a dinner so that I'm not having to do all of those things. Also, remembering to build time into the schedule to do the things that we love. So if we know that we're really, really stressed on Wednesday, it's the hump day, right? In the middle of the week. If we're really stressed on Wednesday, what can we be doing to get ourselves more relaxed on Saturday and Sunday so that when Wednesday comes, not only are we more relaxed when we started the week, but we're looking forward to the things that are coming on Saturday and Sunday. And I would also argue we definitely need to do this for ourselves, right? But once we do this for ourselves, if we have other people in our lives that we're trying to show love and compassion and consideration towards, whether it be our child or it be our partner, we can start to figure out what are the stress triggers, what are the stress releases, and how do we take out an insurance policy for that individual. Excuse me, I think about my son and what stresses him out and what I need to say to him before and what I need to have prepared for him beforehand and have in place so that he isn't stressed. And then I think about my husband and what kinds of things stress him out and how do I take out an insurance policy for him so that I make sure that, he's starting in the best possible place, and also remembering what the releases are of what the things to say. I've mentioned before many times on the show that my son deals really well with loud situations and doesn't melt down. And I'm a sensory person. If it's really loud, I start to shut down. But once the sensory is over and I'm out, I go, oh, okay, I'm better now. And that is when my son falls apart. So, what do I do before a loud thing to help myself, and how do I release it while I'm there? What do I do for my son afterwards, giving him that quiet time afterwards where we don't play music, we don't have any loud noise happening after a loud event so that he gets that time to decompress. We can do this for ourselves, and we can do this for the other people that we love in our lives so that we make sure that we keep the stress at a manageable level. And of course, key is figuring out how to release. It's very individual for different people. Some people, it's humming that can release, that stimulates the vagus nerve and it calms people out. For other people, having quiet time. For some people, it's having less light or more light. Stop and consider and try different things to see what helps you to release. Monica Holloway was just talking about acupuncture and meditation. What a great, great thing for us to do, and if you have kids, to encourage them to do it as well. Okay, it is time for us to go to the A Word. This is the amazing documentary being made here at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, following a little boy, Jack Riley, as he begins his early intensive behavioral intervention, diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. So we'll take a look at what's happening with Jack Riley this week. And don't forget that later on this week, really thrilled for the very first time, his parents, Mike and Cheryl from the A Word, will be joining us here on Friday morning. We also are going to have the benefit of a third person that will be coming in that will be doing interviews with Nick Yates, who is a young individual a college student who received a recovery diagnosis when I believe he was 14 years old when he got a recovery diagnosis. And he had an opportunity to meet this family so that he could meet Jack Riley and the parents could meet him. And all of them are going to be with us on Friday morning. So keep that in mind as you're watching the A Word. And when we come back, we are going to be joined by Alex Plank from Wrong Planet. Very excited to have him here with us again. So take a look. This is the A Word.
Have fun.
Okay, bye.
He's starting to sit a little bit longer, and he gets the idea, okay, if I sit, get my stickers, then I can go. This is actually a 10 token board, but right now he's only on 5 right now, but eventually we'll move him up to 10. It's a good way for him to visually see, you know, that there is an end. Like, once I get all the board filled up with stickers, then I can leave.
Jessica does a preference assessment to see what Jack Riley wants to work for before she begins her first trial.
Okay, what do you want, pancakes or do you want bubbles?
Bubbles.
Say I.
I want pancake.
Okay. Do you want pancakes or bubbles?
Pancake.
Pancakes? Say, I want pancakes. Okay, sounds good. What's your dad's name?
Mike.
Mike, good job. Here you go. Gonna put the J on?
Push
Put the J. J. Good job. Nice job. When's your birthday?
December 15th.
December 15th. Good job. How old are you?
2.
Nice. Can you show me the fingers?
2.
2. Good job. Here you go. What's your mom's name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl. Very good. Whoops. Here you go. Put another one on there. Where does the K go? Good job. What does it say? Jack. Say Riley. There you go. All done. Here you go. Say it's good. Okay, go play. See you later.
What?
Here, you want to bring the tractor?
Elbows.
The pig, yeah. It is a pig.
Wait.
He's lining up the dinosaurs in a row.
Okay, buddy.
Lining up objects is associated with autism because it shows that the child doesn't know how to appropriately play with toys. This is why Jack Riley's therapists teach play skills, so you can learn how to learn. Playing is learning through imitation, and it also helps develop communication skills. This is why the behavior is redirected.
Let's make a bridge for the dinosaurs. Are they friends? Should we walk? Let's walk. Let's walk. Yay! Let's go play. What else can we do? Jack, what is this? It's
Is it this way? Is it this way?
It's a this way?
Is it this way?
Is it a bridge? Did you make a bridge? It's a bridge. Can the dinosaur walk on the bridge? Walk on the bridge?
Walk.
Can you make the dinosaur walk? You do it.
Dinosaur walk.
Jack Riley, do it. Make him walk. Walk. Here, slide down. Slide. Whee! Ready? I want to do it. Ready? Whee!
Sometimes lining up toys can be appropriate play. Jack Riley lines up his blocks to build a bridge. What makes lining up toys an indicator for autism is when the behavior is limited and is the only way the child interacts with the objects.
That's more creative, Jack. At clinic, Sabrina suggested to make a visual schedule because he's been having a hard time walking outside. So look, what's this first? There's Dad, there's you, there's Miss Shireen. You're holding hands. Like you're walking on the sidewalk, holding hands. And then when you get to the grass, you stop. You stop.
You stop.
Yep. You stop. And then what do you get to do? You get to run on the
grass.
Say run on the grass. Good job. The end.
But yeah, so we were gonna show him like along the way as every step, like you walk out, you hold hand, and emphasize holding hands.
Okay.
You hear you guys walking the sidewalk holding hands, and then the next picture is you guys stopping in front of the grass,
Okay.
still holding hands.
Okay.
And then his reward is
you get to play.
He gets to play on the grass, and he got the concept or the idea. Anyway, we'll see if put into play, will he get it? But I'm sure he'll get it.
He'll get it. That.
Yeah.
Having a destination was the biggest thing for him. Like knowing what the goal was.
I think before you say come here, and he thinks it's over. And yesterday he'd be playing, and Cheryl would say come here, and he would run down, and then she'd whisper, "You want to go to the grass?" And he just was.
Good.
I think it's all been about, now we have to go in every time we call him.
Every tantrum he has are really a lot of his bad behaviors because he doesn't know.
What do we have to do first?
Remember, when are you gonna do first? Though?
Hold what?
You want to do it, or you want me to do it?
Hold what?
Since he sees your picture.
Hold hands. Go hold hands with Dad. Like the picture.
Good.
All right.
Remember like yesterday.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
See, we still hold hands.
Can
we
you?
still hold hands. Stop.
Right?
And we still hold hands.
Where do you guys want them?
Right here, and then we made him ask.
Yeah, then we stop and make him ask.
What?
Can you say, I want to play on the grass? Okay, go.
Yay! Go!
Have you hugged your tree today? You gonna kiss it too? Tree hugger and a tree.
Come here.
Let's go, gosh.
Yay! Uh-oh, wet butt. Wet butt. Hey, do you want stairs or grass?
Grass.
Okay, stay with Mom. 10 steps. 10 steps. Ready? 1, 2. Right, stay with me.
10 steps.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You want grass? Okay, go.
Using a visual schedule has helped Jack Riley a lot on outings because he can anticipate what will happen next. And unlike last week, there has been no aggression or biting. Whether it's a token board or a visual schedule, having items JR can see helps him a lot to know what's happening next, and therefore be a lot less anxious.
What do you want? You want grass or do you want... Okay, go play.
Welcome back to Autism Live. Our very special guest here in the studio right now is the fabulous Alex Plank. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to have you as a regular every Monday that we can. You're a very busy guy, so you won't be able to be here every Monday, but
That's
thrilled
right.
to have you here. For people who haven't seen Alex before on the show, you are a filmmaker, and you are the creator of Wrong Planet.
Yep, wrongplanet.net.
Which is an amazing site, and any of you who have teenagers, or if you're a teen or adult on the autism spectrum, it is a must. You must go there. It is an amazing site with a lot of information, some of which we're going to talk about here. But you are a talented young man, and how do you identify yourself in terms of autism?
Well, I was diagnosed when I was 9, so I guess that's how I identify myself.
So, do you use the word? Do you say I'm on the spectrum? Do you say
autistic, have autism? I honestly, the way that I phrase it really just depends on whatever sounds less awkward in the sentence. So, if it's like I was writing an article, and I realized that I used autistic because saying a person with autism like 8,000 times just was really annoying.
Right.
And also, I mean, it's a part of who I am, so I don't really see it as, using person-first language being necessarily that big of a deal for autism.
Does it annoy you, though, because I think those of us who have younger kids, we came in at the time when what was PC was to say has autism. I know some of the individuals that I know that are a little bit older find that offensive. Does it bug you when somebody like me says that? Or
No, it doesn't bother me. I feel like a lot of times people focus a little too much on semantics when in reality what we should be focusing on is, getting the best support for our kids and for each other and helping, people thrive and
well, amen to that. And as I said, you were a filmmaker, and you've made many short films that are on the that are on the site wrongplanet.net, and we're going to show one of those in a minute. But you also have a documentary that
Shameful,
yes, that's absolutely amazing. And where are you guys with that? Are you any closer?
It's not done yet, but we're hoping to get it done by April. That's the ideal situation.
Okay, and then will there be screenings, do you think?
Yeah, we already have been talking with some festivals that want to show it.
Okay, great.
All around the world, including in Europe.
Okay, because I've seen the trailer, but I have not seen anything more than that, and I know I want to see it. And we did have your partner in filmmaking, Noah, on the show, and the two of you talked to us about that. But if you missed that, and you can see that interview on YouTube, it's about the atrocities that are being perpetrated in France.
It's really bad what they're doing there for people with autism. Basically, kids are being tortured and parents are told that it's their fault, especially mothers are being blamed for it. And you can find out more about it at shamefuldocumentary.com.
Okay, great. So definitely check that out. And we'll continue to give you updates about that as you guys finish the documentary. But I specifically today wanted to start by talking with you. You did a video recently that's on wrongplanet.net on bullying. And I thought it was so amazing, Alex. And I had the opportunity the other day. I had talked about it with my son, and then I had the opportunity to just sit down with him and watch it together.
That's great. I mean, one thing that kids are taught is to walk away, when in reality, usually that results in them getting bullied even more. They need to diffuse it by sort of you can watch the video.
And we are going to show the video, but I really, and I'm thrilled that we have the opportunity to show it here because I think it's really life-changing stuff. Whether you're the individual who's being bullied or you're a parent of somebody who's being bullied, this is the information that we all need to have.
I wish I had learned these skills when I was a kid. It would have helped me a lot.
Absolutely. And just to see my son's reaction to it was very powerful. So let's take a look, and you can also find this video on wrongplanet.net, but here is Alex talking with an expert on bullying. Take a look.
Hi, and welcome to Autism Talk TV. In this episode, we will learn how to deflect episodes of bullying and teasing, and Alex will again be immersed and learn to do this very thing. Let's see. Okay.
Liz, would you mind telling me a little bit about how to deal with verbal teasing? It's something that a lot of kids don't know how to appropriately respond to.
Yeah, unfortunately, verbal teasing is really, really common for adolescents in particular, and a lot of kids on the autism spectrum really struggle with this. They're sort of the victim of this kind of teasing. So before I tell you the strategies that we actually use to teach kids how to handle teasing, I want to ask you a question. What do you think that most adults, not necessarily you, but what do you think most adults tell kids to do in response to teasing?
Well, from my experience, I think most adults tell the person being teased to report the teasing and, because bullying isn't tolerated. However, I don't think that's probably the best way to do it.
They'll also tell them to do a couple of other things, too. They'll sometimes tell them to walk away from the person, or they'll tell them to ignore the person. So think about that. What do you think actually happens when the teen ignores the verbal teasing? Does it make it stop?
Well, for ignoring verbal teasing to me seems almost as if you're doing the opposite of ignoring it because you're directly addressing it by pretending it doesn't exist.
Exactly. The reality is that everyone gets teased, especially as an adolescent. Even popular kids get teased. But it's how you react to it that determines how often or how severely that you're teased. Now, what do you think that the person who's teasing us is trying to get us to do when they tease us?
I think they're trying to get you to react.
Absolutely. And how do they want you to react?
I think they probably want to see how you'll react, but if they're a bully, perhaps they want to see if you'll react in a negative way and show that their teasing works.
Yeah, so they're probably trying to get you upset in some way, maybe get you angry or sad, maybe even tease them back, because it's essentially it's fun for them to get that reaction out of you. It's like they're trying to push your buttons and sort of get you to put on a show, essentially. So do we want to do what the bully expects us to do? Do we want to put on a show and give them that reaction?
Well, if the bully gets the reaction they want, logically speaking, the bully will want to do the same things to you more.
Exactly.
Because they enjoy getting that reaction out of you.
Right. So we have to think about what is their goal? What is the bully's goal in teasing us? Well, they're trying to get a reaction. So we don't want to give them the reaction that they're looking for. So instead, we want to teach our kids how to use this, what we call an ecologically valid social skill. And an ecologically valid social skill is one that kids who are socially accepted are naturally doing.
Right.
So there's a lot of research that shows what kids who are socially accepted do when they're being verbally teased. And it's not walk away, and it's not ignore, and it's not tell an adult. Instead, what they do is they give a short comeback that shows that what the person said really didn't bother them. And that not only did it not bother them, but what the person said, it was kind of lame. You know, it was kind of stupid.
So you basically are like, whatever, man.
Very good, exactly. You're going to say something like, whatever. And sometimes people will kind of roll their eyes when they say these things, and they might shrug their shoulders. And it doesn't really matter if, you know, if this is a girl or a boy using this strategy, you know, they could say the same thing. A lot of boys will sound sort of bored, though, and sort of indifferent when they say it. Like they might say, you know, whatever. Kind of like what you said.
Whatever.
Whatever, man. Whereas a girl, sometimes girls will have a little bit more attitude.
Yeah.
You know, they'll say whatever or something like that and kind of throw more attitude. But it really just depends on the person and their personality.
Whatever, you're like totally strange.
Is that supposed to be funny?
I don't know if it's funny, but you're really weird.
Anyways. Let me ask you this, because sometimes I think the kids on the autism spectrum get confused over whether they're being teased or, you know, guys call it like busting the balls or whatever. Now, how do you differentiate between that, and how do you respond to that? Because I know that when guys are talking with each other, they amp it up and they don't say whatever, or they'll be like, well, your mom is, whatever, something like that.
And what you're describing is banter.
Okay.
A lot of boys, in particular guys, they banter with each other, which is a form of teasing, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like ribbing, but it's usually playful, and it's usually amongst friends, and there's no harm that's necessarily meant. But what's the problem with that kind of banter? What happens? Does it just naturally fade out, or does it kind of? You said you keep upping it.
Yeah, I think that guys will try to one up each other and win or whatever, but. I think eventually it'll die out when they get bored with it.
Maybe eventually it might, but what else could happen if you keep upping the ante, and you keep it escalates and escalates? What can sometimes happen? What's the risk?
A lot of times, I guess someone could get offended.
Yeah, so someone could get offended. Someone could get their feelings hurt, and so what we need to think about is, although that's a pretty typical behavior, especially amongst guys, to kind of banter back and forth, if our goal is to make and keep friends. And have good relationships with people, then we just need to know that that kind of behavior is really risky. And if we want to stop the banter, you do say things like, whatever.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Oh. I mean, banter is essentially teasing, but it's amongst friends, and it's meant playfully, and that's a little bit different. So think about the context. But your reaction can essentially be the same thing. If you decide to engage in that banter, though, just know that it's really risky. Because it is always kind of escalating, and someone could get offended.
Well, Liz, that's some great advice. Is there anything else that you probably want to add about this whole teasing thing, and any additional advice you think that our viewers would benefit from?
Well, I think it's always really helpful to actually practice these kinds of skills. So it's one thing to sort of know what to say, but to actually use those skills in the moment is a whole different thing. And so one of the things that we do in our groups is we actually do a lot of role plays where we practice these things.
Dizzy when I hit you in your head. Dizzy when I hit you in your head. Check it out.
Welcome back. That was a video that you did, Alex Plank. We're here with him right now. And you have lots of these little short videos that are on wrongplanet.net. I would encourage everybody, if you have teenagers or if you're a teenager or an older person. My son is 9. Exactly. My son is 9, and I went on with him the other day, and we watched this together, and it was completely appropriate for him. Where he is at right now, he completely got it, was very excited, and then was thrilled to meet you because he got to meet you on Saturday. We were both at an event, The Art of Autism, at Mr.
Music Head.
Mr. Music Head.
On Sunset Boulevard.
A really amazing place.
Right down the street from the restaurant Chibo.
Yes. Which you actually, as we were leaving, you invited us to come to. There was a little bit of an
It was
after
great,
party.
actually. We had tons of people over there.
Yes.
A lot of people went there.
But my question was it going to be appropriate for a 9-year-old? And neither one of us really knew the answer at that point. But was it?
Yeah.
Would it have been okay?
I think so.
Okay. Well, in any case, I think what's funny about it was that sensory-wise, it was too loud and noisy for me at the gallery.
Oh, it was quiet in the restaurant.
Really?
Well, I mean, it depended on where you sat. So you could have sat outside. They have a nice little outside section where you can sit, and they have heat lamps, which weren't really that necessary.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice
night
out now.
Yeah, it was a beautiful,
I really feel
beautiful
lucky
night.
to live in California.
I know. There are people that are digging out from another snowstorm right now.
My parents live in Virginia. We're already in spring, and it's snowing on the East Coast.
It's a little crazy, very crazy. But it was a lovely, lovely event, and you were the MC for the event. It was art and autism, and the particular focus was on music and art.
Yeah, there were tons of artists who had done art, and it was on display. It's a gallery on Sunset, so there was a lot of stuff on the wall. Actually, some people bought some.
Did they? There was
yeah.
some stuff that was sold that night.
Yeah, I saw a little red dot on one thing, and I made a comment, and the person who was standing next to it was like, "I bought that." And I was like, "Thank you." Yes, and I was hoping that people would buy things because it supports a good cause, and you know, these kids and adults who do this art. I mean, art's so important for autism. I mean, people don't realize that a lot of times when you expose a kid to the arts, especially a kid with autism, they're able to express themselves in ways that they couldn't before because, you know, written language or nonverbal language, they're limited there. But when you have a paintbrush or a pen, you can do a lot more, and a lot of times you'd be surprised at what happens. And music's the same way. There's a acoustic guitar player, Nick Guzman, who played.
We're actually hoping to have him on the show right before the day before his big gig on the 13th
at Club Nokia.
And I didn't know about this event, so you knew about it and told me about it. That it's an Autism Speaks event here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
On the 13th of April.
At Club Nokia, which is connected to the Staples Center.
And so he's going to be performing...
with Crosby, Stills, and Nash on stage with them.
Which is pretty amazing. How do I not know about that? Like, how is it that I'm not aware of that?
I just heard about it recently. I mean, they're putting everything together, and they wanted me to be involved in some way, so I'm going to be talking about that. I don't know exactly what they want me to do, but... You know.
But you'll show up and you'll do whatever they ask you.
Yeah.
You're an erudite young man. You have a lot to say, and you say it well. I can understand why they would ask you to do that. And I actually, but I got a chance to. I didn't get to hear him play at the event, the guitar player. But he is. I talked to him and I talked to his parents, and we're going to try to get him on the show. And they gave me a CD, and I listened to the CD, and he's brilliant.
He's very
absolutely
good.
Brilliant.
And you know. My friend Stephen Shore, who I'm sure you know of, does a lot of work teaching music therapy and doing music therapy with kids on the autism spectrum, and it opens up a whole new world of possibilities in terms of just getting them to feel comfortable, getting people to be able to express themselves. Yeah,
really important that we give everybody an opportunity to express themselves in whatever way is most beneficial for them. Was that what happened when you discovered film and filmmaking?
Sure. I mean, I actually did do music throughout high school, and I was in the band. I played clarinet. I was in the orchestra. I played a concerto I had the whole orchestra accompany me at a music camp in one summer.
Wow.
I played xylophone and marimba. I was the section leader in the marching band, and the best part about the xylophone and the marimba is you don't have to march with it unless it's a parade. And we do like 2 parades a year, and the rest are marching band competitions where you just get to stand there. And you practice every single day in the summer. They have this really intensive thing. And I was originally doing cymbals and I was doing clarinet, and then I just switched to cymbals, and I was like, I want to do xylophone because it was hard for me to like walk and like play the clarinet at the same time.
I honestly don't know how people do that. I can't walk and talk and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah, well, and you not only have to do that, but you have to do it exactly in step with every single other person in the band, and one person messing up will ruin it.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, doing a parade, you just walk down the street.
Right.
But
what's a marimba, though? I've certainly heard of that, but I don't know which instrument that...
A marimba is also has wooden keys, but the tubes are much bigger under it, so it's deeper and has a much fuller sound.
But it looks like a xylophone?
Yeah, they look similar. A xylophone has, as I said, the tubes are bigger, so a marimba's a little larger, especially downwards.
It's a great name, marimba.
Yeah.
What a great name.
And then they also have bells, which are like a metal xylophone where you can play that. I played that. And then what really helped me the most, I think, was getting involved in theater, because the kids in that were a lot more accepting of me being different. And I actually made legitimate friends in the theater department. And I was in West Side Story. And
who'd you play in West Side Story?
Baby John.
Oh, fun. How wonderful.
So my line was, zip guns, gee whiz, or something like that. I don't even remember.
Well, wonderful. We always talk on the show about how great theater can be as a way for kids on the spectrum to find their way. I didn't hear. Oh, we have a question.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I also... Oh, and the question was for Alex, were you ever involved in musical theater? If so, how do you feel about rehearsing and performing? And
I love it. I love performing. And I think that one thing about acting and musical theater is that you're able to act, and you have lines, and you have things that you get to say. And you know what you need to say, so you don't have to worry about all the, what do I say next? Or and for someone with autism, that's very comforting. And I've noticed, I feel like there are a lot of actors on the autism spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm. Theater's my background. That's what my master's degree is in, and I used to teach college theater, and
cool.
so I, and my husband is an actor, and our son just had his theatrical debut last Thursday.
Oh, cool.
In a play that I directed, and it was amazing to me because, the other parents, when it came time to do the performance, it was much easier for my son to learn lines than it was for any of the other kids. And, he learned them like that. And I think everybody was afraid of what was going to happen and how he was going to do it. And he took to it like a fish to water. It was very exciting for Mom and Dad because we weren't sure if the theater gene was there. But I'm excited to have him do more stuff. And as you said, to find that group of people to hang out with.
And the other thing is, and I kind of want to get back into it. I've been thinking I want to try out for some I don't know, commercials or TV shows or something in Los Angeles, because that would be fun to do some acting while I'm...
Well, and that's a great segue for the fact that we want to talk a little bit, but we have to be very mysterious about how we talk about it, because you have a new job.
Yeah, I'm working on a TV show. It's going to be on TV.
Right, but we can't talk about what the TV show is or what network it's on yet. But to know that you're consulting with a TV show.
I'm working with the lead actress and the writers, and that's pretty much all I can say, I guess.
Exactly. But that's very exciting to me, because more and more characters are showing up on TV that have some relationship to autism. And it's very important to me when I sit down to watch that it be based in some semblance of reality, and I get really cheesed off when it isn't.
And so it's really great that they're actually, hiring someone to work very closely on every aspect of the show.
Right.
So I think that's pretty cool.
I love that. And the fact that it's you, it gives me great hope, because I know you'll provide them with great information. And so as this progresses, you'll come back and tell us more when there's more to tell.
Yeah, and it's not going to be out for a while, so once it comes out, we can start talking about it.
Very, very cool. Yeah. I want to go back to talking a little bit about the high school years, and because we showed the bullying tape, were you somebody, and you said you could have used that bullying tape, that information when you were younger, were you somebody that was bullied?
Well, yeah, anyone who's different's a target for bullies, and I certainly wasn't like everyone else. And yeah, it would have helped me a lot to know these skills that really and a lot of kids with autism don't even want to go to school, and it's not because they don't like doing homework, or I mean, maybe they don't, but that's not the reason they won't go to school. I mean, it's because they get bullied. I actually was at a period where in high school, and I think the theater and doing Wrong Planet really helped me get out of this, but I was refusing to go to school, and my parents didn't even know if I would graduate from high school, much less go to college, which I did, and I graduated from college. So.
Well, and I always forget that you actually started Wrong Planet as a teenager.
Yeah, I was in high school. I was biking. I was at my grandparents' house for the summer, and they didn't have internet. So I would have to bike to the library.
Man. But you were determined
to make this site. And
yeah. I think that's a great thing for everyone to hear, because if there is somebody who's watching who's on the spectrum and feeling like I think a lot of times people focus on what people can't do, supposedly, when really there's nothing you can't do if you put your mind to it.
It's so true. And when I was a kid, I'm sure that and people might look at me now, parents, and be like, oh, well, my kid's never going to be like that, you know, and look at their kid right now in high school or in elementary school or wherever they are, even in college, and they might think, oh, well, I mean, they're completely different. But I was probably just, you know, having as many struggles, if not more, than most of the parents out there's kids are having.
Well, that's a good point, because I do think, you know, I enjoy you as a person, right? I enjoy sitting and talking to you, but there is another level to it, too, that as a parent, I could sit and talk to you forever because you give me so much hope.
Yeah, I love talking to parents. I give talks all around the world to groups of parents and groups of adults on the spectrum and, you know, kids, and also just general disabilities.
And when you meet, and I know Wrong Planet, you really talk about so much there, but when you meet individuals who are in their late teens and their 20s who are on the spectrum and they see you, I imagine that they're filled with hope and have tons of questions for you.
I love meeting others on the spectrum, mainly because it's just fun to hang out with them, because we have so much in common, and a lot of times, especially if we have similar special interests. And it's interesting because, you know, as I was saying, you see me now, and you know, I might come off, you know, some people might be like, well, I don't even know if, you know, he's autistic, you know. But it's because I've gotten really good at acting, you know, and that's why acting is so good for people on the spectrum, because we have to act every day just to act normal. Because I'm not naturally, you know, going to look someone in the eyes, or I have to think about all of those things. Even still.
Really?
I don't have to think as much as I did when I was first learning it, but I mean, because some of it you can internalize, so it gets to become more natural, but it still takes, you know, a lot of energy to do this, and to you know, being in a large group of people, I feel very drained afterwards. I mean, most people would, but I feel like more drained than.
And when you have downtime, if you're with a bunch of other people who are on the spectrum, do you feel like you can let that go? Or
a lot of times, even if parents, you know, because when you. And that's comforting to be able to sort of hang out with other people who you don't need to act for.
One of the questions that parents ask a lot is, you know, my child has something that they want to do, that's like a repetitive behavior or something that they want to do, and should I let them do that part of the day? Should I let them have downtime where they do it? And we had Temple Grandin on the show, and she talked about the fact that when she was a kid, that she had a metal plate on her bed that her mom would let her spin for 1 hour a day, and she like cherished being able to spin that plate, and that's what she wanted to do. What would you say to parents if there's something that kids want to do?
I mean, as long as the kid's able to do other things, it's not interfering. I mean, a lot of times that's soothing, you know? I mean, we have ways of self-regulating as, you know, adults that are a lot less noticeable, you know, even just tapping your fingers or doing something, or like doodling while you're on the phone. You know, that's called stimming. I mean, but neurotypicals do it as well. It's just more socially acceptable. And you do that because it soothes you and makes you able to control at least something in the environment. I feel like. And
do you still have behaviors like that are repetitive that you want to do that you would classify as those repetitive and restrictive behaviors?
Not as noticeable. When I was a kid, I used to run around spinning my arm like a propeller, like a prop propeller plane. And I would make noises. My mom said that I was able to mimic every sound at the grocery store, like the meat cutting machine at the deli, and like in an amazing way. And I would make all these weird sounds and do all these weird things that was like obviously not acceptable. And I would sit in my chair without my feet on the ground. I would sit on my feet and like always would like I was like perched on my chair always, and like the teachers would like tell me that I shouldn't sit like that, and when I didn't sit like that, it was hard to concentrate. And I mean, it was hard to concentrate either way, but it.
So what happened? Because clearly you're capable of sitting. You're not perched on your chair right now, and you're concentrating. Did something happen? You just like gradually.
Well, I mean, keep in mind that this is in school, and the chairs there are kind of different than the ones we're sitting in.
Yeah. True.
But I mean, yeah, I grew out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
you grow out of a lot of things. I mean, when you get older, you just.
But that's, you know what, and that probably seems like a duh to you.
It isn't,
to a
though.
parent.
Most people don't. They don't think of that. They're thinking in the here and the now, and they think, oh, this is how my child's always going to be. And the thing is that we learn and change just as much as everyone else, if not more.
Right. But one of the things that I was upset about recently was there was a study that came out talking about the fact that there are some individuals that after intensive therapy no longer qualify for a diagnosis, but the headline said that kids outgrow autism.
That's
Do you
ridiculous.
think that's...
When you learn, I mean, autism specifically is a developmental disability, so that means that there's a delay in learning certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that you have a delay in learning things is always going to be the fact. I mean, even if you learn these skills, if it took you longer to learn them, if you qualified at one point to have autism, your brain is wired differently with autism. I mean,
so the concept of the word that people use is recovery. That's a concept that you don't embrace.
I mean, if that makes you happy to refer to it like that, I mean, I understand why. You can. I mean, I don't use that term for myself. I mean, but I'm sure that based on their definition of it, then they would probably say that to me, that I was. Because
I would guess that if you went to get a diagnosis, that you would no longer qualify for a diagnosis.
No, that's not actually true. Because I did. A year ago, I did the ADOS again, and I definitely I actually took part in a study at Harvard Beth Israel, and they have to do the ADOS like for everyone involved in the study. Just even though I had already done it when I was a kid, I had been diagnosed.
And you still qualified?
Yeah,
that's really interesting to me.
Because it's the test is they talk to you and they watch and you just have to fit these criteria.
Right. But there are kids. I mean, I've met kids that at one point qualified, and now they go to an independent person and they don't qualify anymore.
The thing is that, I mean, the diagnosis is not a. They don't like stick a needle in you and test your blood.
It's not a static thing.
A human observes you. So one professional might give you one diagnosis and another professional might not. But in reality, the study at Harvard Beth Israel, which was really cool, is they used transcranial magnetic stimulation.
I was going to ask, do they map what's going on with the brain?
Well, actually, what they do is they induce a change to the brain. Okay. So what they can do is they hold this magnet on your head, and it's amazing what they can do with this magnet, because your brain works on electrical charges and what they can do is they can actually move your individual fingers. They can point at a certain...
With a magnet outside your head.
Not even touching you.
That's going to feel weird.
Yeah, it's like why did my thumb just like move?
Right.
But they can also stimulate visual, like the visual area of your brain, and also the area that deals with senses. And they did that to John Robeson and Jack Robeson, his son. I hadn't done that one. I've done the motor cortex and some other things, but what they found is that people with autism's brains are hyperplastic, which means they're more susceptible to change.
Really?
So it's easier to change an autistic brain. And their theory is that that's why you have someone who can become a savant and like learn something very quickly, like learn this like incredible amount of knowledge about some specific area. But it also explains why some people you try to teach them to tie their shoe, and the next day they can't even do it.
Interesting.
So it's sort of. So, but they can easily see if you're autistic just by seeing if your brain's hyperplastic or not.
Wow! So another way to diagnose, perhaps.
It could be. And, I mean, I'm not a scientist, and this is all research that's not
right. It hasn't been published yet.
I'm not sure if it's been published yet.
Okay. And you actually interviewed John Robeson, and we have a clip from that.
Yeah, actually, and this is in New York City. I was there for a play a few weeks ago, and John came down with Jack and Kirsten. And
what play did you go see?
The Laramie Project.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And we have talked about, Allison is the girlfriend? Is that the name?
No, Kirsten. Kirsten is his girlfriend.
Kirsten. And because we had talked about the big New York Times article, Autism and Love.
And actually, Amy Harmon is the two-time Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter who wrote the story that was on the front page of the New York Times called Navigating Love and Autism. She has a new ebook out that you can buy for, I think it's only a few dollars on Amazon and
is it about autism and
actually it's a longer version of that article, so
really?
it's a 37-page book, I think, about Jack and Kirsten, and I'm in there. And actually, if you go to wrongplanet.net, it's the first story on there. It has a little bit of an excerpt from the book where you can read and then buy it.
But we're going to show everybody the clip now.
Yes, and this is John's new book called Raising Cubby that we're talking about, which is really cool.
Okay, so take a look. You can also find this on wrongplanet.net.
We're here with John Elder Robeson, the author of Look Me in the Eye and Be Different, and his new book is called Raising Cubby. John, tell us a little bit about your new book.
Well, it's a story of parenting, of raising Cubby, who's full grown here, and all the stuff we did together when he was little, and then the trouble we had when he was older.
Tell me about the time you drove a Rolls Royce onto was it a power plant or a train yard or somewhere?
Well, we took the Rolls Royce to the train yards because if we went in an ordinary car, the railroad police would throw us out, but people in Rolls Royces can't be trespassers in rail yards, and I told him Cubby was a stockholder. I bought him stock. Yeah.
What's another crazy story from the book?
What do you think's a crazy story from the book, Cubby?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the whole sort of second half of it, with the fiasco is a kind of crazy story, but it's kind of long.
So what do you think's the best part of the book?
Not going to jail in the end.
I agree, yeah. Not going to jail is the best part, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about why you were facing jail time.
I had an interest in chemistry. A lot of autistic people have, special interests and hobbies, and mine was chemistry. And I was making, fireworks and explosives and that type of thing. And the people at the state didn't really see it as an innocent hobby, and they sort of went after me. So.
Yeah.
Is there anything in writing this book that you uncovered that you didn't realize at the time?
Well, just all the trouble it is raising a kid. Who would have thought that? I mean, nobody would even have purchased a kid like that if they knew how much trouble it would be when I was looking at him at the kid store all those years ago.
Wasn't that the original title of the book?
The Best Kid in the Store, yeah. And I took him to see the store where I bought him, but it had turned into a pet store, and even though the cages were the same, he didn't recognize his cage.
Is there anything else that you want to add about the book?
What do you want to add about the book?
Nothing in particular. I don't know.
Well, why should people read it, Cubby?
It's an interesting story, Not too many people get in trouble for this type of thing, and, not too many people do this type of thing. So it's kind of a, kind of rare story, I guess.
So it's like parenting at its best. Yeah. Raising Cubby. Yeah.
Cool. So thank you for joining us.
Woof.
We're back in the studio with Alex Plank from Wrong Planet, and an amazing video. A rare opportunity to see dad and son together. I've seen interviews with one or the other, but not the two of them together. And both of them are on the autism spectrum.
That's right.
And a fascinating story of, what's it like being an adult and being on the spectrum and then raising a child on the spectrum, which I think more and more people are going to share that same story.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers are there that it has to be that way, right?
And I've been saying this before. If one in, and the numbers before were 1 in 88, and I mean this is not the same sample of people that they're basing it on. This is school-age children.
Right. This is 1 in 50 school-age children in the United States.
And in reality, I think what's really happening is kids in school are getting diagnosed more because it's getting recognized, and I think girls are now starting to get diagnosed and identified more, which is really important. And having images of girls with autism in the media is really cool, and that's just starting to happen. And I think that's
it's
great.
Important. It's absolutely important. I will say for myself, I certainly think and hope that a part of that number is that more kids are being diagnosed. But I know because my child is in school. This is the first time, by the way, that a CDC number has come out that my child was included in the age range, because the 1 in 88 was kids who were age 12 and up, and my son is 9. So
I didn't realize what age groups.
Well, because it came out when they were 10, and he would have been 8 then, and so I said, well, that doesn't even include my son. So this is the first number that theoretically includes my son, and
if you think about it, it's amazing. I mean, what a school bus holds, like 50 people, right?
Right.
So I mean, one kid in every school bus has autism.
Right. Well, and I had been working on directing the play that my son was just in, and working with all of the 4th graders, and there are like 100 4th graders, which would mean that there would be at least 2 kids with autism, and there were at least 2
that
kids
are diagnosed.
Right.
And keep in mind that people with autism are not always diagnosed.
Well, that was what I was just going to say, is that as diagnosis has gotten better, we want to assume that more kids are being diagnosed. But I see on the school playground, and I see amongst my friends and at their birthday parties with their kids, there's a whole lot of kids still who don't get diagnosed.
Yeah. So
a lot. So that 1 in 50 number.
And keep in mind that these numbers vary throughout states, because and I don't think that there's really any variance in incidence necessarily between different states. Maybe a little bit, but not a statistically significant amount of variance. So what you're seeing is some states that have better diagnostic systems are getting higher numbers than other states and it is related to the amount of money that's being spent on these services and diagnostics.
So everybody who's come in the last week since this has come out, I've said, what was your reaction in that first moment when you heard the 1 in 50? What was your reaction?
Oh, now it's more accurate. I mean, I mean, some people would be like, oh no, this is rising, but I thought that it was more already, especially when you see that if it was 1 in 54 boys in that last study, I don't think that there's a difference necessarily in the rate between boys and girls. I think that it's diagnosed better for boys because, and we talked about this a lot, the idea of women not being noticed if they're quieter and shy. There's always that shy girl in every class I've been. There's always that girl who, oh, she's just shy. She doesn't talk to anyone. But if you're a boy and you start exhibiting symptoms, it sometimes will be more noticeable. It's like, why is this boy not acting like a boy?
Fascinating. I hadn't, because there are all these studies that are being done now trying to figure out what is the genetic difference between why are there so many girls, and you just don't think, you think it's just not, it's
possible. But when you look at, I think it could be a combination of both. And obviously this is all theory. Everything I'm saying
for everyone, not just for you, even the scientists that are studying it,
of course,
it's theory for them as well.
But another thing and Kirsten talks a lot about this. She writes a lot of articles on Wrong Planet about gender and being on the spectrum. We do have a lot of female columnists for the site because I think that it's something that needs to be discussed a lot more. She says that as a girl, you have a social group of girls who are more nurturing and because that's what the gender is expected.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, and so you'll have a girl that's in a group and her friends would help her with certain social skills and help her be more social.
Interesting.
Whereas the guys don't do that.
They're not nurturing to each other?
Well, I mean, if you look at it, most of the therapists who work with autistic kids, on average are women.
Yes. Although I will say that when my son was having therapy, we had at least 3 great male therapists, and we were always asking to have at least 1 male therapist at a time so that they could be modeling behaviors.
Yeah, because there are certain, and I know that there are certain expectations that are different for each gender, and that is true. That's just how it works.
Absolutely. But I have to ask you, because we have so many parents who will write in from time to time and say, okay, and we had this question come in 2 weeks ago that somebody said, all right, I've got a teenager on the spectrum, and I've got him involved in sailing, I've got him involved in all these different groups, but finding a way to have them make substantive friends seems to always be a little slippery, a little elusive.
Well, I still have trouble with it today, but I say that the older you get, the more you learn these skills and the easier it becomes.
Well, what would you have a parent do to facilitate that, to do it earlier so that...
What they're doing is important because the more you fail... And I think that one thing to keep in mind is you should tell your kid that it's okay to fail. It's okay to mess up, because the more you mess up, the more you know what not to do.
Even in friendships.
Yeah, and I in friendships, even in dating, I mean, I was under the impression that, you know, every time I got rejected by someone, it was something personal to me. And once I realized that I should embrace that, I should totally try to get rejected just to see how, what is acceptable and what I shouldn't do. And, and when I started when I started seeing everything as a learning experience, it made it a lot more manageable and easy to deal with the fact that I was being rejected, because everyone gets rejected, even neurotypical people who aren't on the autism spectrum, and it's nothing personal, and most people are just able to brush it off.
Well, I was going to say, that's great advice for everyone, not just for people on the spectrum, but it's great advice.
Yeah. And so that's how I'm able to be socially acceptable now. I tried a lot in college, and
you saw what didn't work.
Well, there was like 30,000 students, so I mean, I could mess up with a ton of people and still find people who didn't know who I was.
And still have a dating pool.
Yeah, or dating. I mean, just thinking of friends, but that it's true with that as well. And when you're in high school, you get a reputation, and people just expect you to. So it's harder to work with that once you get to college or out in the real world, which honestly is a lot easier for us on the spectrum, because we are respected for our talents and our weird interests, because when you're in the real world and you can turn that into a career or something that helps other people and is seen as a talent, it's a lot easier than when you're just in high school and everything you have to do is following rules and doing certain things. I mean, you have to follow rules in adult society as well, and it's important to learn those, but I'd say there's a lot more room to be yourself.
Okay, good advice. We've only got about a minute left, so I want to remind everybody that we'll be back tomorrow, that Lisa Ackerman will be with us tomorrow talking about the new numbers, the 1 in 50, and we're also going to have Evelyn Gould with us, BCBA, tomorrow, talking about challenging behavior and how we deal with the emotional side of it on the parent end of the challenging behavior. But before we go, Alex, is there anything that you want to, besides go to wrongplanet.net, anything that you want to tell our viewers?
Well, I mean, just definitely go on there, check it out. We have discussion forums, and we have videos just like the ones you saw today.
Great ones about flirting.
Yeah.
A variety of topics that are just really great. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, and and the stuff that we produce is, I'd say, pretty professional. So it's very easy to watch, and some of it's
great experts. It's really good
we
stuff.
worked with UCLA and the Peers program there and their help group,
and you're going to be back with us in 2 weeks when I shave my head.
Yeah, I'm excited to.
We're not here next Monday, but the week after, he's going to be here. We are out of time, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I can't wait to be here again.
Awesome. So we'll be back tomorrow. Until then, please give your kiddos a hug from me. Bye-bye for now.